when you thought people couldn't get any stupider than they already are. I don't even want to say crazy because this is just utterly dumb. And there should be severe consequences for this. I'm sure it'll be a slap on the wrist. Oh, you're young. You don't know what you're doing or you're saying. Let's get into it. The wake of the tragic Uvalde shooting in 2022. Yes, it ties into Uvalde. Texas communities, they're still dealing with that insanity. This is the one where the 200 police officers lined up around the school while one young man went through and executed children. And then after they didn't kill him until it was far too late, then they all got into that room together and did a big circle jerk saying how great they did. Yes, the Uvalde Police Department, ladies and gentlemen. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Everybody.
The wounds of the past were freshened when news emerged of a potential subsequent threat. Nathan Cruz, a 17-year-old relative person of the gunman, Salvador Ramos, was apprehended on charges of planning a similarly heinous act. Yes, the apple, I guess, the cousin apple doesn't fall that far. Keep in mind, 21 children killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Salvador Ramos, the perpetrator of the attack, had used an AR-15 style weapon, fatally injuring 19 students and 2 dedicated educators. The community and indeed the nation mourned this senseless act of violence, remembering the victims with, flowers, candles, memorials, and not a whole lot of action. It's true. Great. We got thoughts and prayers is what you got out of that one, and nothing fucking changed. So, yeah, I'm glad we all mourned, and we just set ourselves up for more of this. Anyway, fast forward to present day, it appears that the shadow of the tragedy still lingers. Recent reports indicate that Nathan Cruz, Ramos' own cousin, harbored intentions of mirroring his relative's atrocious crime. Evidence against Cruz, obtained by WOAI TV, includes a chilling confession to his sister, where he expressed the desire to do the same thing as Ramos. Concerned about his brother's intentions, she confided in her mother, who later overheard Cruz attempting to illegally acquire an AR-15, the same style of weapon that was used in the Uvalde massacre. The fuck is going on in Uvalde?
That's a really good question, because there are a lot of very small communities. I live in one of them, and I don't think that kind of shit's going on here. I could be wrong, but why?
Well,
what is happening there that there's this angst?
You have all these adults, all these officers who didn't go in, and now you get the cousin trying to get the fucking weapon. I don't know. It's beyond crazy. Thanks to the quick action, and thank God this family realized it and said, maybe we should say something this time. They did. Cruz's mother alerted the police about her son's alarming intentions, likely averted another catastrophe. Sergeant Washington Moscoso of the San Antonio Police Department expressed his relief to the New York Times, stating, God knows what could have happened because she did the right thing. The individual has been arrested. Adding to the community's unease is the revelation that Cruz resides directly opposite of San Antonio Elementary School.
Oh, God.
So he could have just walked out the door.
Could have just woken up, grabbed his AR-15, and just headed out the door. He wouldn't even need to drive.
KSAT brought to light the geographical proximity, deepening concerns over what might have had occurred had mom not said something. In response to the emerging situation, Edgewood ISD released a statement highlighting its unwavering commitment to safety. Edgewood ISD has been made aware a teenager is now in police custody, accused of making a threat against a school on the city's west side. Edgewood ISD is dedicated to the safety and well-being of all students, faculty, and staff. Each campus benefits from an assigned safety officer. We know how well that worked at some other schools, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
if they want to do their job.
Yeah, there was a time when that would give you a sense of security, and now it's like, it could go either way.
Yeah. We encourage everyone to remain vigilant and to promptly report any suspicious activity. Our message remains clear. If you see something, say something. Court documents reveal that Nathan Cruz is currently facing a felony charge for threatening a public place with a terroristic intent. Additionally, he's charged with a misdemeanor for threats made against a family member. So that's where that sits right now. How the hell would you handle that? I would do the same thing. I would call the police. I think the mom did everything correctly. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things one could probably do if you find that information out.
I wonder what happens in a mother's mind when she finds out that her precious child has gone over to the dark side. Did she pause and say, this can't be happening? Did she immediately grab her phone and say, I need to do something? Did she do some investigating on her own? The sister as well. I mean, they've lost this kid now. This kid is absolutely lost to them. There's no way that they can welcome him back into the home, I wouldn't think.
But they will. I mean, come on. It's just a threat against a school. I wouldn't. I would shun him for I wouldn't even speak to him for the rest of my life. I'd be like, you're done. You are
Wouldn't
done.
You be afraid of him? He was going to shoot up a school.
I would, but I wouldn't communicate. I'd just be done. I mean, there's certain things, even if it's your own fucking kid. I mean, why? They are not, there's something severely wrong, and I don't have a lot of faith in redemption for people who are capable of going to such extremes. There's a lot of things that can be forgiven. There's some things that you're just too broken. You are too broken to come back. I think that he should be put away for life, honestly, just for the threat. I think that should be one of those things where it's like, look, you make a threat against a school and we can prove that you made the threat against the school and you were actively trying to obtain a weapon. I'm cool with putting Drano in his Wheaties as well and saying, it's a little tangy today. I know. Just slurp it up.
Couple more bites, honey.
Couple more bites. And just rid the world of this beast before they get out and do something else. Because unless this person is put away for good, they'll be, you made that threat, you're going to get a little probation here. It's the first time, and they're 17 or so now. Give it a few more years. They will be in prison for murdering at least one person by the time they're 20. I would put money on that. I would, if there was just a betting odds table on who's going to kill somebody, I'd say he's up there. And I'm sure we'll just release him back into society and let him kill. And then we'll be like, oh, well, didn't see that coming.
No, I hope not. What a 17-year-old boy and a 17-year-old girl should be doing is trying to figure out what they're going to do after high school, who they're going to date, what are they doing this weekend, that kind of stuff. That doesn't change from generation to generation. That's what 17-year-olds are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be worried about what concert are they going to go to, shit like that. Trying to figure out how to get a gun so you can massacre a school, that's not normal behavior by any stretch.
No, it's not. I mean, it's basically, if we want to put it into perspective, we look at the Middle East and how crazy some things can be over there with suicide bombers and such. And though, thank God we don't have that in our country. The fuck we don't. It's our kids. It's our kids showing up into fucking schools with guns. We have it all the fucking time. So as one would scorn, that, like, oh, look at that Middle Eastern person who's doing a suicide bomb. If that was my son, I would kill him myself. Well, okay. Welcome to America. This sort of shit is happening here. We just call it something different. And I don't know. This is just, I don't know. We need a dramatic change in how we handle these sort of threats and don't just, slap them on the wrist and let them back out. It just needs to be, you're done. You're done. There's certain rules we play by in life here. And if you choose to go that far off the fucking grid, you're done. Whether you committed the crime or not, it shows you are capable of it and you are willing to do it. And if you've gone that far as to start looking for the weapons, I think it's just game over.
Yeah, you've crossed that line.
But unfortunately, it's not. So that's the latest on that. We haven't really seen a whole lot happen over there. There's been several officers who have quit, been fired, this or that. But again, at the end of the day, you never really got Uvalde going back on the stage with their giant hats saying, we're sorry, we fucked up. It's just kind of like, let's not talk about this. And, so.
Yeah. I kind of cringed when you said that, but as I, a few seconds have gone by, I wonder what their response would have been. And we don't want to ever test that out, but I wonder, have they gone through that scenario again and tried to figure out, hey, we need to do this shit differently?
Would they?
I don't know.
Yeah. If they look back on it today, would they have done, are they equipped to do anything different? I guess is the question, because they seem very, very locked down to bureaucratic rules and nobody wanting to lose their job and nobody wanting to get shot. And that's ultimately those two factors weighed much heavier than saving children that day. So I don't know. I mean, I really feel like every single human being who was in law enforcement at that scene that day that did not act should be removed and should not be in law enforcement. Whether you're just, all of them. I don't care. And there should be more severe penalties for those who actively stopped others who did try to go in. And there were some officers who did try and were held back. They get a pass. They made their attempt, but then were ultimately held back by other officers.
Well, we even talked about it. There were actual parents who climbed over fences without weapons to go in and do something. So the whole thing is just a huge travesty and should never have happened that way.
You'll never get me in any way positive talking about law enforcement on Uvalde. And people are like, you hate law enforcement. No, I don't. I love law enforcement when they're sane and they do their fucking job. They're the best in the world when they can do it because they're usually well-trained, well-intended. And I don't think we have the levels of corruption that there are in other countries within our law enforcement. Are there corrupt areas? Without a fucking doubt. But overall, they're good people. It's a good system. There's bad apples in many things. But what happened there was a fucking cornucopia of bad apples. It was like the whole fucking orchard of bad apples came out that day. And it's just, that's one thing I will always, I get so riled up over this one.
Oh, I know you do. And it was like watching a really bad parody movie, although it was real and it was horrific to watch. And it should never happen that way again. I hope every police department has used that as a training device of what not to do.
One can only hope.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast
with Tony Brueski.